Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to my March wrap up. In this video I'm going to talk about all the books I read in March as well as the stats. I am pleased to say I read more than February, which is exciting. I read a total of 8 books in the month of March. I was going to be filming a March vlog style wrap up, which I know some of you guys were excited to see, but when I started that vlog I was also in the middle of 2 other vlogs and it just got really chaotic, and then I just throughout the month forgot to update the vlog style wrap up, so you are getting a normal wrap up video from me this month. And then obviously in April, if you haven't seen my April TBR, I'll link up above, but I am doing a month-long challenge where I'm weekly reading vlogging. I'm filming weekly reading vlogs throughout the month of March as well, so I won't be able to do a vlog style wrap up then. Hopefully later on in the year I'll be able to bring them back to some capacity, but for now you just get to hear my rambling self sit down and talk about all the books I read in March. So without further ado, let's get started. I read a total of 8 books in March, like I have previously said. That spanned across 2,858 pages, which is almost 1,000 more pages than February, so I'm very, very excited about that fact. I rated 1 2-star, 4 3 stars, 1 4-star, which is almost a 5-star, and then 2 5 stars, one of them being a brand new read and one of them being a reread that was already a 5-star for me. I read a total of 4 audiobooks, 1 ebook and 3 physical books. Therefore, I took 3 off my physical TBR, brackets, 1 was from my ebook TBR. I had 1 library loan, 3 from Scribd, and like I said, I had 1 reread, so it wasn't off my physical TBR because I'd already read it. That spans across 4 contemporaries, 3 romances, and 1 mystery, equaling out to 6 adult, yay, and only 2 YA. But I also had 2 DNFs this month, Lessons in Chemistry as well as Careless. The books I did read were Counterfeit by Kristen Chen, The Bread the Devil Need by Lisa Allen Agostini, The Dead Romantics by Ashley Polston, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Stand In by Lily Chu, XOXO by Axie O, 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, and my reread The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I started the month by reading my lowest rated book of the month, which was Counterfeit by Kristen Chen. I had this book on my iBooks account. It was part of my March TBR prompt pools, so I thought I'd just get ahead and read it because the audiobook was on Scribd, so therefore I could listen to it while I was doing housework and commuting to and from work. I was so intrigued by this premise. It follows 2 best friends who haven't spoken in a while, and then they come back together 10 years later and grow a counterfeit handbag company that turns global. What kept me intrigued the most was the fact that there was a mystery element to it. One of the best friends was a very mysterious you didn't really know her backstory, and as you were reading through the main character's situation, because you were following one of the best friends' perspective and then viewing her best friend through her eyes, you didn't really get the full scope of her best friend's backstory and personality and the reasonings why she's got her best friend involved in this counterfeit handbag scheme. So that was the intrigue for me. However, apart from that, I didn't really enjoy it. This book didn't really vibe with me. I was expecting more from the premise and it just fell a little bit flat. So I gave it a 2 stars, which was my lowest rated book of March. I then conquered The Bread the Devil Need by Lisa Allen Agostini, which was one of the books I picked out of my Rare Birds Book Club Advent Calendar, having just known the synopsis for it. And the synopsis I got was that this 40-year-old woman ran a boutique in Trinidad, and when the truth of her situation comes really close to home, she has to start trying to escape it. And basically, as I read the story, I understood that her situation was that she was being domestically abused by her not fiance, not boyfriend, not husband. They were just together. They didn't really have a label on it. And then when she works at her boutique one day, she sees a woman get shot because of domestic abuse outside her boutique, and she the reality of her situation comes close to home and she has to try and get out of it. The premise, once again, for me was incredible. I love the premise, which is why I picked it as one of my Rare Birds Book Club book picks. And unfortunately, the concept just fell a little bit flat for me. I was expecting more of a fast-paced book. It was very slow. It was very character-driven, and saying that for me, for not liking a book, is very strange because I'm a very character-driven person. But for me, the ratio wasn't there because I was expecting so much more from the synopsis and the plot, and it not delivering in those aspects. I then also wasn't invested in the characters. But overall, I did enjoy it. I just think it's more forgettable than it is memorable, so I gave it a just mediocre, middle of the road 3 stars. Now we're coming in to the brilliant books I read this month. And this is my first 5-star read of the month. I listened to, on my commute to and from work, The Dead Romantics by Ashley Polston, and the hype is real, you guys. I've heard some really, really good things about it. I was a little bit hesitant because of the premise. So for once I was a bit skeptical of the premise for the first time this month, but it was an audiobook on Scribd. I needed something to listen to, so I thought I'd just give it a go. If I DNF'd it, I DNF'd it. I hadn't spent any money on it. It wasn't in my possession. It's not like if I didn't like it, I was losing out on anything. So I thought I'd give it a go, and I was hooked from the very first page. This book basically follows our main character. What is the main character's name? Florence Day, and she is a ghostwriter for one of the most famous romance writers in her fictional universe. And she really wants an extension on the next deadline. However, she's just got a new editor and he isn't aware of the situation. And then unfortunately this new editor dies, and he comes back into her life as a ghost. And the way this ghost story was told, obviously it's a romance, so you can kind of predict what's about to happen, but the way this ghost story was written, I absolutely loved it. It kind of reminded me, was the only other book I kind of read with the same premise, Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, in the way that it was like a romance with one of the main characters being alive and the other kind of romantic interest being a ghost. Kind of same sort of premise there, but because it wasn't kind of like paranormal and it was like a full-on contemporary romance, I absolutely digged this book. I absolutely loved it. It had me squealing in the car, almost crying on my way home from work from the audiobook. I absolutely loved this book. It was so, so good. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. The romance was swoon-worthy. Everything via core pile, because I am rating my books via core pile this year. So characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, logic, intrigue and enjoyment all got 9s or 10s in core pile for me. So it was a 5-star. I absolutely loved this book. The humour, the book references, it was just chef's kiss, perfection for me. The next book I tried to tackle was another very, very hyped book, and that was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like the most hyped book across the universe, not even just BookTube, across the book universe. It's incredibly hyped and incredibly loved, and yes, I was apprehensive going into this book. I didn't actually know what it was about to some extent before going into this book, even though it's so hyped. No one ever really talks about it in depth, so I was kind of going a little bit into the unknown. I didn't really know what to expect, and I wasn't loving it in the first 60 pages. However, the more I read and the more I listened to, because it's a multiple cast audiobook, I saw it on Scribd and I thought I'd give it a go. So I mixed media'd this book. I listened to it as I read along to it in the physical book. But if you don't know what this book is about, it basically follows our main character, Evelyn Hugo, who is an iconic actress of her lifespan. She started acting when she was in her late teens, early 20s, and this book basically follows her from that point all the way up until she's like 70 and she's retired. And she gets this journalist in. It has to be this journalist, it can't be any other journalist, to interview her on her life story. And this journalist is very confused on why it's her. She's not that big, she's not that famous. She's just kind of starting out on her journalist career, and she doesn't really know what Evelyn Hugo has picked her to reveal this life story that everyone's always wanted from Evelyn Hugo ever since that she came onto the scene, and now she's retired. Everyone's like, we want this life story, and Evelyn hasn't wanted to give it until this moment, and it only has to come from this journalist. She won't give the story to anyone else, and it's told in a way that every section of the book follows a different husband of Evelyn Hugo, and it tells her story through the different points of her life that she has a different husband. Obviously, from the title, she has 7 husbands, and it follows her life story as she kind of like progresses from being a really famous actress, having lovers, having friends, falling out, breaking up, getting divorced, and it sounds like a very mundane story, but once again, Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing style is perfection, and you don't think you're gonna love it. You're very confused as you're reading it, and then the end comes and it all makes sense from what you were reading previously, and you're just like, I was sitting on the sofa next to Mark, who was playing his video games. I was finishing off my book, and I just kind of like, I was lying, chilling back. I sat up and I went, that was phenomenal. But, twist, I didn't give it 5 stars. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Very, very close to 5 stars. But it didn't give me that 5-star feeling. Yes, Taylor Jenkins Reid hits the writing style. She hits the characters. She hits the plot. She hits the intrigue. She hits it all. but it just didn't give me that 5-star feeling, which is really, really annoying, but I absolutely love this book. It was phenomenal. The plot was so intricately woven that the ending was so much more impactful because of that. Like, the writing was just perfection in this, the way that it was told to get you to that point by the end. It's just magical. Like, the book is one of the best books, like, it's one of the best books I've read in terms of plot and writing and getting to an end point and how the plot is woven through, together and woven throughout. Yeah, so good. Definitely worth the hype. My library loan for The Stand-In by Lily Chu then came in. So this book basically follows our main character Gracie, who's getting sexually harassed in her workplace, and when she tries to fight it, her boss decides to fire her instead. She is now short on cash, she doesn't have an income, and she wants her mother to go to the best care home possible because she's suffering with dementia. Having no income, she's a bit stuck. And then one day she's walking home from work and a mysterious SUV pulls up beside her, and inside is her body double, who is a famous actress called Wei Fang Li. And because they look so alike, Wei Fang Li wants a break from the spotlight, so she's asked Gracie to be her body double to go to press events, parties, and just show her face in public to make it look like Wei Fang Li is absolutely fine when really she's suffering with mental health issues behind the scene. Gracie's in a little bit of a sticky situation. Does she accept this really weird kind of proposal and get the money that she needs for her mum to go into better healthcare because of her dementia, or does she just stick to herself kind of lifestyle? And of course she decides to take the risk and she becomes Wei Fang Li's body double for a couple of months, and a romance ensues from there. It's a really interesting story, but it was like almost 500 pages and I think it was a little bit too long for the context. I think a lot of it could have been cut out. I did get a little bit bored in places because it was just a lot of information that wasn't really needed. I feel like the author could have cut down a lot of it and could have still told the same story. I loved the twist at the end, but when you kind of thought about it, it was the only kind of feasible explanation for this body double situation to occur. Don't think too much about it, otherwise you might spoil yourself on the plot twist if you're interested in reading this book. And it was a really cute, slow burn romance. I won't say much more than that, but it was very slow burn, hence the length of the book, and maybe it could have been a little bit of a quicker slow burn to make the book a little bit shorter and more fast paced. But overall I did enjoy it, but I gave it a middle of the road 3 stars. Whilst I was reading The Stand-In as an ebook, I listened to XOXO by Axio as an audiobook on my way to and from work, and this is a YA book, and this book kind of surrounds its idea on K-pop. So when our main character Jenny meets a mysterious boy at her uncle's karaoke bar one night and they have a night full of random adventures, she gets hooked on him, but he leaves without a trace. 3 months later, she finds out that her mum is going back to South Korea to look after her mum who is about to have a serious operation. Jenny's like, let me come with you. I can apply to musical school while I'm out there and spend a couple of months living in South Korea with you and grandma. She is a very, very good celloist, so she gets a scholarship to the music school where she can be close to her mum and her grandma. But little does she know, she enrolls into the same elite music academy as the mysterious boy that she spent one night with. But he's not just any student, he is a famous K-pop star from one of the biggest K-pop bands. When getting into a relationship with him means putting her own dreams on hold, what is she willing to do to take the risk? It was a classic YA romance and I did enjoy it. I had a fun time listening to the audiobook on my way home to and from work. I don't know whether the writing was really simple or it was the way the narrator told the story, but it felt very young YA. It was cute, but it won't have any lasting impact on me. I then listened to another audiobook because I was kind of hitting a slump at this point. I'd tried to read Careless by Kirsty Capes, couldn't get into it because I actually thought it was adult, but it's a YA book, so it kind of put me off. And then I didn't really pick up a physical book, but I was like, I'm still going to work, unfortunately, so I'll listen to another audiobook on my commute. So I picked up 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I loved Holly Jackson's The Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, so this is her newest release. Thought I'd give it a go. It follows six friends who all get stranded in an RV as they're making their way to a music festival for spring break. But unfortunately, a sniper is out there trying to keep them hostage because one of the 6 friends is holding onto a secret that the sniper wants. He shoots out the gas tank, he shoots out all 4 tires, and they are absolutely stranded. in this RV with a sniper outside who has full advantage of them. And it just follows them in a close proximity space throughout the night whilst they're getting kind of blackmailed by this sniper for this secret that they're not sure who holds, but they need to reveal to all get out alive. Once again, I love the way Hoy Jackson tells mysteries. I'm always on edge. The audiobook was really well done. I was listening to this like walking sometimes, and I had to keep turning my back, like making sure that no sniper was following me. She really makes it feel realistic, but sometimes it was a little bit far-fetched in the amount of obstructions the characters had to go through to kind of make it through the night. And I did a couple of points be like, oh, come on, get on with it sort of thing. But it was a good mystery that kept me listening to it throughout. But I still do prefer the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy by her instead of Five Survive. It was just a fun mystery, nothing too kind of impactful to keep me thinking about it, although I do still think about it to time because who doesn't think about some thriller mysteries that you've listened to ages? I still think about No Exit by Taylor Adams, to be fair. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it, but a good kind of YA, so 3 stars. And then the book that I'm still currently reading on the last day of March, and I'm really hoping I can get it done today, is a reread of one of my favourite books of 2021, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Hallie Hazelwood. I loved this book when I first read it in 2021, and I am still loving it now. I'm rereading it so I can tab it up and write in it. And I'm still absolutely loving it. I am swooning over the romance, but it's taken me like 2 weeks to read. And I don't know if that's because I've hit a slump. I still want to read. It's just a lot of a slower pace in the beginning of the month. Yeah, once again, this book will be 5 stars because I absolutely adore it and I cannot wait to finish it. That is it. Those are all the books I read in the month of March, all 8 of them. I feel like I've rambled for quite a while, so I won't keep you any longer. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from monthly wrap-ups, weekly reading vlogs, challenges, themed reading vlogs, book recommendation videos. I have it all here on this channel, so if you'd like to subscribe, I would highly recommend it. And without further ado, I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.